Glad you have on socks with those shoes. So many men don't wear socks these days.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Joe Lockett. I have an exclusive interview right here on Joe Lockett 101 today. She's in the building, y'all. We kept it on the low. We didn't tell anybody she was coming. But y'all been asking me behind the scenes, can I get her? Well, she's here. And y'all know me, no spin, unfiltered, and definitely unapologetic. Who am I talking about? State Representative Gavan is in the building. Welcome to the show. How you
I
doing?
am she. She is I, and we are
We
here
have heard so much
up
about you.
in
We
here.
are coming, and
We are coming. Make it make
yes.
sense, Birmingham. We are coming, and we are intentionally coming.
Okay. So how's it going for y'all down the campaign trail?
I think it's going pretty good. It's definitely a situation in which we know that we are making a whole lot of noise right
Mhm.
now. We know that there are a lot of eyes on us. We have changed the dynamics of this election. I don't think that anyone can deny that.
Mhm.
What was meant for my bad, even with the creation of a meme, has really turned into somewhat of a phenomenon. Now it's called the Gavan Pop. And so thusly, here we are coming.
So I want to ask you. I know people have to, but a lot of people are gonna probably tune into this live here, and I want to ask you this, State Representative. What made you want to run for mayor of Birmingham, Alabama?
I'm going to answer this as honestly as I can.
Mhm.
The decision for me to finally run and to say that I was running is really simple. And it is this: it is a situation in which I received a call from Bishop Jim Lowe.
Okay, I know Bishop. Mhm.
And Bishop Lowe said to me, he said to me, I had to throw it out the way. So
I
hopefully
heard
it's
the phone.
out
I
of
was like, what
frame.
was that noise there?
Yeah,
Right,
I
right,
just
right, right.
moved it out the way because the phone was ringing. I apologize.
No problem.
This is uncensored.
Yes.
Bishop Jim Lowe actually called me,
Mhm.
and he said to me, I was actually at Trinity Baptist Church on
Okay.
Graymont.
Mhm.
And this had to have been sometime shortly after the Hutch Lounge killing that took place on the South Side.
I remember that.
And I had been raising so much sand. I had been fighting City Hall about the crime. I had been calling, begging, pleading, everything.
Mhm.
And so one day he called me. I was in church and I texted him. I said, listen, I'll call you when I get out.
Mhm.
And so I did as I said. And during that conversation, he started addressing the issues. He started addressing me fighting. And then he said, I know that you don't want to hear what I have to say. And then I said, Bishop, I know that you're going to say just as others. And that would be, am I running for mayor? I said, that's not an interest. I have not. He stopped me. His voice totally changed.
Okay.
He went into a deep bass tenor like I've never heard.
Mhm.
And he said, if you don't want to hear what I have to say, you're going to listen to me. Da, 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 da. God has placed it at your feet. When he said that,
Mhm.
I said, it's like something hit me in my chest.
Okay.
He said it again. Because at this point, I'm like, Bishop, da, 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 I'm going to give you do the answer. Same thing I've told everybody else. I don't. And when, third time, he said, God has placed this at your feet.
Mhm.
Tears started streaming down my eyes. I pulled off on the side of the road and I called one of my colleagues and I told them about the experience. And I said, I'm going to keep my word and I will make a decision by the end of the year. And at that time, I set up an exploratory team because I wanted to keep my word. And the rest is for history.
Okay.
And also because others have run.
Mhm.
And then I said, why not me? I was asked to run 4 years ago, but there were others who entered the race, a former mayor and incumbent who I worked for and have utmost of respect, as well as someone who had been on the council. I never called my opponent's name, so that's why I won't reference that particular person. But Mayor Bell was running, and then someone else who was on the county commission, who had also been on the city council, who ran and did not win.
Mhm.
But at that point, I said, well, the ballot would be top heavy if the the deal is to kill the devil, you don't need all of those people running.
Okay.
And me being a political science major and a student of politics, as well as a political analyst, I just counted the cost and I didn't. But this time I did say, why not me? Why not me? Why always them? They've had their shot. They ran, they lost. Why not me?
As we go back in our history in Birmingham, Alabama, we've only had one other female mayor.
But not elected.
Exactly. In 2009, Kara Smitherman, she was given the position because of what happened to our former mayor, Langford, right?
And she was, I think at the time, council president.
She was the president, so that's the way it works.
But not elected.
She was not elected. And she only served for like, I think, a month or two. So now you're the first woman actually, well, not the first woman running, but it's very tough in this environment. And I want to go a little bit deeper because women getting to the next position, right? Let's talk about that, because you got to think about with former Vice President Kamala Harris, right?
Tough.
She was elected to be the vice president, but she was never elected to move higher than the Senate, right? Very few women have been the mayor of cities.
Of major cities.
Of major cities, like
Certainly.
Atlanta. Atlanta was lucky, right? So how tough is it for you, and how do you feel about the situation? Like, okay, you're running against the current mayor, and you're a female, and you're a Black female. How do you feel about that?
It's tough as hell.
Okay.
Listen, not only is it tough, it is getting to be borderline embarrassing.
Okay.
Why? Because while you think that women would be so happy to see you ascend to this position, they are the ones that are trying to tear you down in many regards.
So why do you think that is, though? Because I think I heard the former vice president, she said the exact same thing, right? That you fight for women empowerment, but then once a woman is running for office, it comes to the point where they're not behind you because they don't think that you can lead, you think?
Listen, I was a surrogate for Vice President Kamala Harris. I fought tooth and nail for her. I have the utmost of respect for her. I was invited to the vice president's house to speak on that very subject of Black women leadership. And what I have experienced is this. First of all, 15 to 20% of Black men do not believe in Black female leadership, not enough to go vote. That is statistically the case.
Okay.
Those are the numbers that were run even during the time that Stacey Abrams ran for governor in Georgia. That was insurmountable. She just couldn't overcome it. And we'll talk back on that just in a second, and I'll bring it into clarity, Joe. So, but with the Black women, I have received calls. I'll put it like this. I have received calls from across this country, from women from California, from New York, from all over, talking about the women in Alabama, in Birmingham.
And what are they saying?
It is deplorable that they have gone to some of the threads. A lot of people now follow me on social media. And because of that, once they start sifting through the threads, because people have been calling lately, do you have a podcast? Because I do give it to you straight. I do give it to you raw. But this one woman called a few days ago, and I've talked about this several times. She called and she said, I've seen a lot of women. I've seen some rough characters. She said, but the women in Alabama, in Birmingham. And I listened. She says, very unfortunate. She says, borderline embarrassing. She said, I've been reading some of the comments. And she said, I'm very embarrassed for you as a woman, and I'm embarrassed to be a woman. But this is what she also said that was interesting. She said, Asian women stick together.
They do.
She said, Indians stick together. She said, Spanish and Latino women stick together. She said, but unfortunately, Black women ultimately do not. And when she said it, I said, oh my God. And that is what this woman, she called me and she said. But with that being said, I don't know why. I don't know if it's something from our heritage. It may be. But certainly, I've not seen this level of discord. And it is some of those that, again, you would think. And also women you've never met. I've never met.
Right.
And I would never share a negative post about another woman.
Mm.
I would never drag another woman. I would never try to demean the character of another woman, not in a public space.
Right.
And especially if she's trying to ascend to higher office.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, with everything that you're going through right now, I want to go here with you. A lot of people don't know your record. I think you became the state representative about 15 years ago in 2010.
And that's what's amazing to me that they don't. I'm like, do y'all not read? I'm like, God, do y'all not read? I have been in office 15 years.
Right.
I have been not only in office 15 years, I worked for Arrington, Bell, and Kincaid. I was one of the last lawyers to handle the case of Larry Langford to get him released under compassionate release and commutation from the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I am the most interviewed elected official in the freaking state of Alabama. Check with the Associated Press. And so Eddie Kendrick Park, right down this street, my name sits on that park because that's the park that I developed. I was the project manager for the city of Birmingham. Eddie Kendrick Park, on Finley, Kenworth Trucking, on Finley Avenue. That was my project. There wouldn't be no zoo if it were not for me. I project managed that for Richard Arrington so we could salvage and save our zoo to keep a zoo in Birmingham. And I'm saying to myself, not only that, with all of the pieces of legislation, over 20 pieces solo sponsored, somebody doesn't at least know me, then that says something about where we are with history in the state, number one, and certainly in the city, but also I think we should go away from so much of the social media platforms and we should start reading the news and listening to the news.
That you've been in office for 15 years now. I want you to kind of break down a little bit as what state representative represents, because that means that you are putting laws up, trying to get laws passed for the state. So a lot of time people say, here, a state representative, and they hear you running for mayor, but they don't know that you're already qualified.
More than qualified. Listen, as I mentioned, I am a political science major. I have been an administrator. I've served as VP and counsel for a company here for a number of years. I have supervised. The city of Birmingham 8 years ago elected someone, and it's not to disparage this person, but I have to show you the parallels of and to balance this thing out to a great extent. At the end of the day, there was a person elected here 8 years ago who had never had a real job except for the job that they were working on that their boss gave them, Mayor Michael Bell, William Bell, brothers Michael. Mayor William Bell extended a position. I was a public defender. I did public defender work. I did contract work with legal aid. And then I would be assigned by the judge for a number of years, almost 4 or 5 years. And so that person now serving in the seat as the incumbent had come in as a young prosecutor, sat in front of him 5 years, they had never supervised anyone. And I find it so funny that someone will say, question my qualifications. I've been a boss. I didn't just get to be a boss. I've been a boss. I've been a manager. I've been a supervisor. I've been an administrator. I've worked for one of the greatest mayors here in the city of Birmingham. And then I work for the others. I have the experience. I have the know-how. I know how to go in there day one to get the job done. But now I find it so funny. And I think I had to do a full live on my qualifications one day. I'm like, oh my God, you all turned the city over to somebody who had no freaking experience to the most major city at the time. Make it make sense.
Now, when you say the phrase make it make sense, I want to get into that a little bit later, but I want to get back to right now, running for mayor, right? How are you going to come in as mayor, and what are some of the changes that you want to make? We've seen what has happened so far. So what are some of the things that you want to do yourself?
I am not going to come in as a dictator.
Okay.
I'm going to come in here in a way in which I realize I am no stronger, no better, no smarter than anyone, and that I rely upon the shoulders of those that I will engage with and employ to help me lead a team of individuals that will provide the services necessary that business at the city of Birmingham continues, but most importantly, that those who have elected me to office, as well as those that did not, receive the benefits of those services that should be offered to them, such as street and sanitation / public works, such as roads and transportation, such as libraries, such as parks and recs. And most importantly, I'm going to lead in a way where we're going to create a team concept. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to talk to the citizens. One of my plans is the NAP plan. It's called NAP, and it is an acronym for Neighborhood Advisory Partnership Participation. We're going to create true stakeholders. I also have a plan, and it is going to be a real talk, chat, and chew Friday, every Friday. Unless for some reason I'm out of town, I'm opening City Hall up for people to come in and have a conversation with me. For them to tell me if they sent or called in a request and that request was not fulfilled or no one responded back to them. I'm going to create an environment in City Hall with that team that I assemble, that people know that when they call City Hall, they're going to also speak to a live freaking voice. They're not going to be transferred all over the place. Someone's going to be there to help them. But most importantly, I'm going to create a team that when we sit down, we develop a plan that is defendable, and that is important. And that's what a lot of leaders don't do. You need a plan that is defendable, because you're going to have to fight every day. Even if you do good, you have to fight. You're not going to satisfy everybody, and certainly not in the city right now that is roughly, give or take, 196,000 people. Even with that, Birmingham should be no less than 250, 260, but we've lost so many people who have left and moved to other cities because of crime, some because of our educational system, which we are making great strides, and also, most importantly, for the lack of services.
So all these things, no disrespect, we've heard before, citizens. But hold on, meaning that people come in and make these promises, right? And then once they get in, right, some are kept and some are not, from former mayors, whatever. What's going to make us believe what we're saying? Not just what you're saying, but in this environment, politicians lie. Let's just be honest, right? They give spin. They say what they need to say on the campaign trail. It sounds real good, right? Get everybody rah, rah, rah. And then when you get in office, right, we don't hear from you.
The first thing I'm going to say is I'm not just any other person running for office.
Okay.
That's number one. And I don't think I just said one word that referenced promise.
Yeah.
I've never, since I've run for office, and I'll tell you the story behind it to tie it in.
Sure.
A few weeks ago, I received a call from a man. He found out, or he had heard, that I was running for mayor. He called me, and I had not spoken with him sometime, and he said, listen, he said, I see that you're running for mayor. I just called because I just wanted to say something to you. I didn't have time to talk with him. I really needed to get out. I think I had to be in court in the Bessemer cutoff. He said, Ms. Gavan, if you could just give me just 1 minute. I'm like, sir, I've got to go.
Right.
But it's hard for me to tell people, no, I have to just get to that point. So I said, go ahead. I said, I'm grabbing some things. I'm talking. He said, I wanted to tell you, I wanted to congratulate. I said, congratulate you. I said, congratulate me when I win. Number one, to say I'm running doesn't deserve congratulatory comments. He said, and he went on to reference this. He said, but I wanted to just say they couldn't find a better person to run. But that still didn't stop me as I was moving about. And I'm wrapping it up. He said, I remember the words that you spoke when I met you over 15 years ago. When you came into a meeting and we had already been predisposed to vote and support someone else. He said, but you came in the room and you did something nobody else had ever done in all these years. That was a tough bunch. He said, you said these words, that you were not here to make us one promise, but you will simply say, if you say you're going to do it, You're going to give it your best. When he said that, I stopped. But not only did I stop, he closed it out with this. He said, the last thing you said that you never wanted to be able it to be said, that you made a promise that you could not keep. You didn't know what you were going to find in Montgomery, but most importantly, you never wanted to see us in Piggly Wiggly, Walmart, or Walgreens, and that one of us within 3 to 6 months comes up to you to say that you lied. He said, but I just want you to know you kept your word, and there's not been one. And when he said that, this is no lie. You think tears came down my eyes with Bishop, and I'm not a crier. Tears started rolling down my eyes. It was the impact of him saying, you never made a promise. But even with that, you did what you said you were going to do. If I say I'm going to do it,
you put your best foot forward.
I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try. Now, I may not always get there, but I'm going to also let you know.
That's why I like this platform that we're on, because we need people to be honest.
Yes.
Right? Because when you go out and make these promises to the people, right, the constituents and the residents of Birmingham, Alabama, right, we needing truth in politics. And a lot of times, like I said, I've sat down with a lot of politicians, and it's nothing but spin. It's
nothing but spin.
You know, people saying certain things, and I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just saying politicians in general. This is what we hear. As I've been watching what you're going through and what you've been saying out there, you're talking about a lot about the crime. Tell me a little bit about that.
Listen, I got to a point that I was tired and sick and tired of everyday breaking news, 3 dead. Breaking news, 2 dead. Breaking news, 4 shot. Breaking news, 4 dead. Breaking news, this and breaking news, that. And also because for the last 8 years, because I did have a relationship with the current CEO of the city, I would call and I would say, listen, the number of sworn law enforcement officers for the city of Birmingham has dropped. And it has dropped so dramatically that it is getting to a point of no return. Because I love the young man, and he's the same age as roughly my baby brother. I practiced with him, and I wanted him to succeed. So I'm calling, and myself and my colleague, Representative Alan Treadaway, who was a former assistant chief who retired a few years ago, who's very close to the CEO and an incumbent here in the city of Birmingham, we're calling because we want him to succeed. So we get to the first 4 years of the first administration. You've lost probably 3, close to maybe, give or take, 300, 400 officers. Now you're in 2021, 2022. You're beginning to ascend to your second term. Now we're down to what, close to 800, 700 and something sworn law enforcement officers. And the killing is going up, up, up. The attrition rate is going up, up, up. So in other words, officers are leaving. There's a level of apathy. There's also an erosion within the Birmingham Police Department. These are things that I know firsthand. These are things that my colleague knows. So we're calling, listen, you must get a handle on the crime. You've lost 80 officers in the course of 8 months to a year. So whereas you may have been at 850, now you're down to, if it was 850, you're at 750. Within 6 months of that, you're now down to 650, 550. So by the time you get to 2024, you literally only have 400 and something sworn law APO certified officers.
Okay, but with that being said, though, because let me ask you this, because you're more of a savant in this than I am, that with the police officer system going on right now, a lot of people are retiring, and a lot of the young people don't want to be police officers.
Has nothing to do with what happened with Birmingham.
Okay.
You have a system in which officers are leaving at such a rapid rate and pace because you cannot be the mayor of a city and you promote within the department. You promote for that department. That's not the role of the mayor. That is not the role of the mayor. And you run the risk of, when you do that,
Mhm.
You have persons who have put in the time.
Mhm.
They have done their just due. They have been seasoned officers. And then you start bringing in people over them who have not put in the time, who have not supervised,
Mhm.
who have been either promoted or they were just brought in and given a position over those individuals with blood, sweat, and equity. Okay, you have a problem, because at this point, people are going to be leaving because A, they don't feel appreciated. They're tired and sick and tired of being disrespected. They are frustrated with the process. So I'm going to get my 20 years. And even if I don't have 20, if I get the 15, I'm going over to Homewood. I'm going to Vestavia. I'm going here. So what happened at the city of Birmingham, what a lot of people do not know,
Mhm.
is that there had been such an erosion in the processes and in the promotion process
Mhm.
that officers were just fed up, because you have some good officers, you
Mhm.
have some bad, but the ones that are committed to their job and they love what they do and they honor the badge and they took the oath to protect and serve.
I get that.
If you get to a point, you're disenfranchised. So
Mhm.
you had so many officers
Okay.
leaving because of that.
Okay. So because of promotion, but okay, in 2024, I think we had over 100 something, or 2023, I think it was over 200 and some homicides, right?
Mhm.
And so let me ask you this: if you're coming in and you was during that time, the people that are there, you have the police officers, but crime is crazy in Birmingham, right? And if you promote inside, it's the same thing that you'll be promoting. I'm just asking, right? What do you do? Because what you already have is not working. And every mayor that has ran has said, right, that they're going to fix crime in Birmingham. They're going to fix crime in Birmingham with the current system, with the current people, with the, being here for as long as they have.
Mhm.
It didn't work.
Mhm.
So if you were mayor at that time and you had people and you see that system, those people are not working, what would you have done?
First thing that I would have done, I would have gotten a handle immediately on the number of sworn APO certified officers that were leaving. That's the first thing you have to do.
Okay.
The reason, and let me explain to you, because one thing I did not say,
Mhm.
as I was making the calls to warn about the numbers of officers leaving, I also warned that if you continue down this path, that crime will be so bad that it's at a point of no return. You cannot, you just not. Also, what I added, the criminals are killing now because A, they know that it is very likely than not that they can get away with it. In other words, they know that there are not enough officers.
Mhm.
They know that areas in Birmingham are dormant. For instance, the West Side. It's not that the West Side of Birmingham is so bad. It is because there is so much dormancy. It is dormant
Mhm.
in a lot of areas. Why? What do I mean by that? You have areas that are very poorly lit,
Okay.
wider streets,
Mhm.
quieter streets. You have areas where there are more elderly and seniors. But within those areas, you have vacant lots, 2 or 3 vacant lots that may stand between 3 or 4 houses.
Mhm.
Out of the 3 or 4, maybe 2 are occupied. The other 2 are probably not.
Mhm.
And so I can drive to those areas where I know, A, now that the number of sworn officers is so low that there are only 4 officers per night at the West Precinct, which should be the highest staffed precinct. And I can get away with it. So now you're dealing with the criminal mind who is smart, who knows the process. So you're also now dealing with officers who are frustrated. And then you're hiring people, and I'm not necessarily within. Some of these folks he's bringing, or they're coming in from the outside,
Mhm.
and you're bringing them in over these individuals. So now you have all of those things coupled together, and then you hit the bump in the road. And the bump in the road is now you're seeing one mass killing. You're now seeing by June or July another mass killing, and during the month of, I think, September, you see a third mass killing. Unfortunately, it wasn't until the mass killing on the South Side that anyone really did anything. And then I started raising, so I was already raising hell.
Mhm.
But certainly the 4 boys that killed on the South Side, that were killed on Center Street, they deserve to have someone to call their names. The 4 on the in North Birmingham, my little niece and 2 of her friends
Mhm.
were en route. One of them made it in. Thank God. Little Brian ended up getting in. The shooting They started spraying.
Mhm.
3 bodies dropped in front of him. He has to leave out, panic, blood splatter everywhere. My goddaughter was en route. Her mother called her and said, Morgan, Mama, she has a bad feeling. Mama has never called you to say, don't go.
Mhm.
They bannered back and forth, back and forth. Thank God for that, because guess what? Had they not bannered back and forth, she would have been in there. So for me, the crime, how do I fix it? How would I change it and close it out? Is simply this. A, let the chief be the chief. The chief is a department head. The chief has the responsibility of ensuring and making sure that those officers are there, that you create a sense of harmony within that department, and that chief has the responsibility to hire his or her top brass. Thurman did not have that opportunity. That was also at issue. Smith did not do that. That was also an issue. Why? Because if you have a police chief, he or she has to be able to build their team. That is for why many people reached out to me when Chief Thurman was first appointed. So I didn't drag him so much so because I knew that I couldn't drag him because I didn't know what he could do. Why? Because he didn't have a team. So all of these things work together. And lastly, I started talking with OGs. So I received a call from a guy, he had done 18 years. He said, y'all talking, everybody's talking about crime, but how many people have sat down with a killer? How many individuals have sat down with a gang leader? How many people have sat down with the dope man? How many people have sat down with these young boys in these gangs? And guess what I started doing? I started sitting down. Because you have to understand the criminal mind. So all of it works together. So those are the things that I'm going to do, and I'm going to continue to do it.
And see, that's where, I look at it, but because being in this political scene and being a political radio talk show for 10 years, I've talked with police chiefs of different municipalities. And the one thing that I've come to understand is that the police arrives later. The police can't be everywhere, right? And whoever is the mayor or whoever becomes the mayor, I think it's more so of how are your people feeling in your city, just me personally. And because when you look at Birmingham right now, we have 44 homicides up to this point, right? And when I looked at the statistics, it looks like there's mostly a few robberies, but most of the things are happening in the home, right? And it's mostly domestic things are going on, which means, right? I think it's like 39% domestic things and something like that, 17% on the other one. But when you look at those things, the crime and the problems are because people are having issues inside the home. When I'm looking at, so when you look at the numbers for me and you get deep into the numbers, is it a police problem or is it a people problem that the city councils, the councilmen in those areas can work a little bit better, right? To find out what's going on, because I think the city councilmen, like in District 8 or District 5 and places like that, right, need to make sure to help the mayor, whoever the mayor is, to understand the problem that is going on. Because I think even if you're the mayor, I would be saying the exact same thing, right? You have your city councilmen to do the work in the cities to bring it back to you so you can figure out what's going on. And it is their job to set the vibe or figure out what's going on with their citizens in that certain district. Would I be wrong or correct there?
Let me just back up for a second.
Sure.
Killing is down across the country right now as a trend.
Okay.
This is how it usually happens. It trends downward.
Okay.
But eventually it trends back up. So Birmingham is not the only place where crime has trended down. It's across the board. Chief Roper would always say, I am not going to brag when it trends down. Why? Because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and we must be prepared.
Right.
People do things, and especially why it is important to have enough sworn officers in place. Because those who now, even if the crimes, whether it be rape is up 80%, domestic violence is up. Not only is that domestic violence, assault crimes are through the roof.
Well, why do we think that is,
Well, first of all, the killers are recalibrating. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because they are recalibrating, officers, individual citizens know, those that would commit a crime, know that the response time for Birmingham police is very long.
Okay.
Even with the spot shooters and shots out, that the little thing that the cameras they put on the poles,
Mm-hmm.
they know that it is unlikely, and this is where having enough police presence and community policing comes in.
Okay.
Most people are less likely to commit a crime when there is a strong community police presence, beat officers. Why? Because they develop relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And those relationships are such that that officer knows that neighborhood, knows those people well enough that if anything goes wrong, guess what? They know who to go to and who to find to get to who did it. So that's why law enforcement comes into play.
I agree it's important.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are living in a neighborhood and you know there is a strong police presence, you're gonna have some bad actors, but you're not gonna see as much domestic violence going on. Why? Because at this point, by the time you slap someone or you punch them or you pick up some type of instrumentality, that 5-0 is on you. Well, right now, you can do it, and guess what? By the time you get into a fight, a confrontation with your significant other or other family member, by the time the officers get there, now most of it is died down. Why? Because the response time is so long that you can likely once again get away with it.
I understand that, but I think this is what you're going to agree to disagree, kind of come back here, because still what we're saying, even if the police presence is there, it's still going to happen. It just be a quicker response time.
No, it's not going to. It won't happen as much. You're never going to stop certain things from happening.
Mm-hmm.
What we try to do is minimize it. And everything I'm saying to you, I've sat down with individuals from all areas of law enforcement, from the top brass on down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to repeat something that I've not been able to back up, either through those experts who do these particular jobs and what is going on.
Right.
That was something I started doing. That's why I knew Birmingham did not need another crime report. They had just done a crime report in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So what was going to be so different with this report? And truly, if the truth be told, it was a waste of the city's money.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the law enforcement in place. I always tell people, look at New York. That is why New York has so many police officers, because they know so many people are in that city. They know so many people are present within, certainly downtown, the Times Square in New York, in that borough. At the end of the day, you have to have the presence. Why? Because it is a deterrent.
Okay.
If you are a criminal and you think like that, most criminals do things because they think they can get away with it, or they can orchestrate a plan that they are more powerful to play cat and mouse with those who may apprehend them for doing wrong.
Okay, so we're going to kind of agree to disagree there, but I'm going to ask you this. With the situation, it is the way it is now. Police officers down, police officers move to different municipalities. Day one, what are you doing to get the numbers back up? Day one, what are you doing to get the beat cops on the street?
One thing I'm going to do, and this is where I think this will be the tie-in that we will not be disagreeing, because something you said. Yes, it is the role of that city council in that district to say to me that there is a mandate, and I say to them that there is a mandate to get in place what we need to stop this crime. We're going to have a cultural mind shift in Birmingham also. All of what you're saying is absolutely correct, but there has to be a tie-in.
A package deal, yes.
It has to be a package deal, and that is what has happened. Many of these members in the Birmingham City Council publicly did absolutely freaking nothing to truly show the citizens of Birmingham that they were really concerned about crime until it got so bad. Why? Because it goes back to where this conversation first began. I'm not here to be a dictatorship. I am here to work along with the council, to work along with department heads, to work along with the citizens, to come up with plans in which we work together to solve the problem. No one in this city will be able to make me believe that there are a handful of killers, but there are more of us, and we can't not overcome this situation, that we show them that we are more powerful. Make that make sense. If that is the case, something is wrong.
You know, when I make it make sense, it's like when we were saying, is just to understand that, okay, the system has to be, you know, reinvented.
You have to reinvent the system,
and
then you have to have no nonsense.
Right, because I think a lot of
crime.
times, you know, we get caught up on the police, and I love what you're saying. I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you that the police is a big piece of it, but I think a lot of times we leave out the work of the people.
Absolutely.
And the work of the city councilmen and everybody in between of that.
Absolutely.
If we don't get that part together,
yes,
I don't care how many policemen you
put out
there, it's not going to work.
Well, you have to have, I'm never going to back off the presence.
Right.
That presence,
I agree with you on that.
But let me tell you why community policing and the presence and all of it comes together. I agree wholeheartedly with you on everything. This is the thing, though. I have said this for the last few years publicly. Danny Carr is a friend of mine. I tell people, though, he'll prosecute me if he has to. I'm on the phone with his mother at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Gina Faye, I love her.
She's a good friend of mine, too.
Listen, but this is the thing. Danny and I say this all the time. You all want to curb this crime issue, but you sit in your homes, you lock your doors, you close your blinds, you turn a deaf ear to the realities of what is going on outside of your door. You see certain things, you say nothing. If you see a child walking down that street all the time when school should be in and they have a book bag, you need to make an immediate call to the district attorney's office. He has a program set up for that. Why? Because if that child is school age and he should be in school and he's walking, and every time you see him, he's walking with that black book bag, guess what? 9 times out of 10, guess what? That young fella has a gun in that bag. So Danny Carr and I were at a forum, and he said these very exact words. Everybody asked, "Oh, but you, it's not profiling. It's a child, young man who is not working. He's not in school. Looks like he could still possibly be school age. He's walking with a black book bag. Make it make sense. So you've got to open your door. So I want to redo, and I said this when I kicked off my campaign, I want to restructure the neighborhood watch program. We're going to restructure it and create a citizens action patrol, and that's different. Georgia started doing this, and it is working. That is why you're now beginning to see the crime decrease, where you're going to incentivize those individuals within the neighborhoods. There are certain things.
Incentivize how, though?
Several things. We're going to put together a plan. We're going to look at, based upon what the incentive the neighbors or citizens want. That's number one. Because an incentive to me may very well not be an incentive to you. There could be certain things. This young man called me and he gave me this idea a few days ago. He said, we need to create a credit program here. So I thought instantly we were dealing with finances. He said, no, Ms. Gavan, I'm not considering finances. He said, there are many of us who have tickets that are outstanding, that we may owe the city. He said, there are many of us that have outstanding fines. He said, there are also things that occur that we are held responsible for. He said, maybe it could even be that we cut the grass. That could help reduce the penalties. That could help the public works department as a credit. I thought when he said it, at first I was like, and then I said, this is genius. Why? Because he has taken me back to NAP. I've now taken someone who has fines. There's a huge lot in the neighborhood, or there's a criminal element in the neighborhood. Who I can now say, you want to cut the grass? You want to help do something? You want to help pick up the paper? You want to earn your credits? And there's a process, or we put a process in place to make sure those things are done? Or you are that monitor or that neighborhood watch that when those young boys are walking the neighborhoods and we continue to see this flow of traffic, that you pick up the phone and you inform law enforcement through whatever the system is we create. Guess what? And then there's an incentive in there for you to do it.
Mhm.
What have I created? I've created a process in which I've empowered the neighbors. I've given an opportunity not only to empower them, they have then provided information.
Mhm.
So now they're participating. I've created a partnership. And because of that partnership, there is a benefit ultimately to that individual.
I hear a lot of things that you're saying, and I do believe that you're probably capable to do everything that
Oh,
you're
you
saying.
can do it. You got to
Okay,
try.
but it's a lot. When
You
what
just
you
have to try it, because what
right.
you have is not working. If I fail, I fail.
Okay.
But I have seen when you empower people,
Mhm.
if you give people an opportunity to truly be a part of something,
Mhm.
and the reason I say this, people laughed at everything Larry Langford thought to do. Because I was one. I used to tell Mayor Langford, I said, I don't know what happens to you when you go to bed.
Mhm.
Because by the time you wake up in the morning, you have all of these ideas that are crazy. Railroad Park, you got to be crazy.
Right.
You're going to have all of the train
Mhm.
cars moved. You're going to create a park and a trail that has a water element that is created by naturalists
Mhm.
in Birmingham. Make it make sense. This couldn't happen. Railroad Park just celebrated an anniversary. The Crossplex, you're going to tear up the racetrack that was there, the football field that was there where the children of the Birmingham City Schools played, that used to be a drive-in theater also. Who's going to come to a hotel over in Inslee at 5 Points by the Bill Harris Arena? The Crossplex is there.
Mhm.
You have to have a vision. If I'm employing or I am engaging the people,
Mhm.
and many of these things that also the neighborhoods have said, you have to try something different. Again, what you're doing is not working. I believe that you create the relationship with the neighborhoods that have been lost. People can criticize Richard Arrington all that they want to, but what Richard Arrington did, and that is what made him such a sustainable mayor, is he developed a relationship with those in the neighborhoods.
Mhm.
That he began a process of creating community partners. And the people believed that he was there for them. Why? Because he did things like that, where he made them buy in, or they bought into, or a belief.
So what you're saying, based on what I'm hearing from you, is that you're going to work if you're
Oh,
elected
I'm going to
mayor.
work. I'm a
So
worker.
you're going to get the people to buy in, because what we hear when I look at your lives and the things that you're doing, we're coming, right? Make it make sense.
And
Okay,
people are beginning to buy into it.
I have that. But for when I there are some things that even myself, when I say, okay, we're coming, I said to myself, coming to do what? And then you said, make it make sense. Okay, it ain't my job to make it make sense. And I'm just being honest, okay? Don't disrespect. But when you said make it make sense, you're running for mayor, right? It's for you to make it make sense so I can understand what you're doing.
Well, make it make sense works both ways now.
Okay.
Sometimes it's used in the sense that make this make sense. This is not even rational. That people live in a neighborhood where it's all barricaded. And then certain things are make it make sense that we're going to make it make sense. So it depends on the subject matter and the perception thereof.
And I think that's why we're sitting down having this conversation,
make
because a
it
lot
make
of times,
sense. Yeah, make
because
that.
a lot of times when you're saying these things, when you're saying to make it make sense, you may be in front of a building, in front of a lot, or whatever you may be when you're saying those different things, different things, right? When you say make it make sense.
But before I close,
Sure.
I tie in.
Okay.
I say, if I'm here in front of all, for instance, I was in Powderly, make it make sense. This doesn't make sense. And I don't want to make it make sense that I have an entire stretch of a public right-of-way, a sidewalk. I've never seen a sidewalk like that before. And I've been in Birmingham. I worked for the Public Works Street and Sanitation Department. I drove garbage. I picked up brush. I had a little truck. I have a CDL license, and I worked the ditch crew. I cut grass. I was on the grass crew. I've never seen a city sidewalk in the city of Birmingham since I have been here. And I worked that side of town at different intervals in which I saw that much grass that covered 3 blocks of a sidewalk for which children have to have ingress and egress. And I said that day, there has to be a better way. This is simply about somebody doing their jobs and caring enough about the people.
Okay, can I stop you right there? Because I want to ask this question. You're in the system, you've been in it for over 15 years. There have been mayors, former mayors, that this problem has continued to happen about the lots, about the potholes, right? What is it about when we see these issues with a lot of the mayors, and then once they get in, these things are still not done?
You did not see it when Larry Langford was mayor. You could eat off the ground in the city. It was clean. It's one thing, he had this city clean. There's no way, and nobody argues that point. Birmingham was clean.
Okay.
Larry made sure.
Okay.
Now he did that. That was one of his things, because most people in the neighborhoods, they don't ask for big things. Larry had those lots cut. I cannot, and I've been trying to figure out why the 2 that came after him did not do that.
Like I said, I don't call any names.
I don't call any names.
Right, so I just
but
say,
Larry Langford had this city cleaned up.
Okay,
I can tell you that.
So what happens? Is there?
I don't know.
Is there not enough money? We don't have enough people working.
Well, for one thing, with regards to public works, one thing, and that's why I say the numbers do matter.
Okay.
The public works department, when I worked there, street and sand, and when Arrington was there, Arrington pretty much kept this city pretty clean. You saw the services, the garbage service, your garbage was going to be picked up. His rule of thumb was this: you don't go home until that garbage is done. So you have a neighborhood and the truck break down. Everybody knew when they got off work, they had to come and pick that paper, that trash, that brush, that litter and debris up. You were going to run those routes. I know that because I worked there. I think the problem has come. You have to have it in you to care deeply enough about the people to ensure that you have people in place that you're going to mandate to them that they're going to do their freaking jobs, because there is no reason why you can't cut the grass. There's no reason why. And I will say, and the reason I can call names is because I lived through that period with the Larry Langford, in which his thing was simple. People in the neighborhoods don't ask for much. They're not concerned about the big buildings that go up downtown. They're not concerned about the stadiums on the other side. Only time they're concerned about that stadium if it has an impact on Legion Field and the Magic City Classic.
True.
And so with that being said, Larry's thing was simple. Hey, I'm going to at least make sure that if you call to City Hall, that those bags of leaves get picked up. If you call, we're going to cut these lots. And the lots up until midway through Bell's time in office, they were maintained. But something happened. I don't know why. I don't know what. After a period of time, people started slacking off. So for the first 2 years, people were able to ride off the heels of Larry Langford and the lots being cut. The grass, because at that point they had been cut so well, the city was clean. The alleys, they cleaned the alleys. You still had 2 days, per week cleanup. But I don't know what's in the mindset of those who have come behind him, and why I don't know.
And we don't know. So
I don't know. I just know let me tell you, for me, I like a clean house.
Okay.
For me, I don't like rats. For me, I don't like overgrown lots. For me, I don't want to have to be looking around to see if I can peep across that I got to look around to drive out the driveway or off the street because the hedges are so high or the sidewalks are covered with grass. I don't know. And my belief is that if I like that, I want other people to have it. There's no way I could go home to my house and I'm driving past filth. And that's another reason I decided to run, because I was so sick of driving past filth in these neighborhoods just to get to the office.
So are you saying, because we're talking about the cleanliness of the city now, that if you are aware that when you get in that you're going to sort of kind of reinstate what former Mayor Langford had? Or no, but I got to ask, because are you willing to go in and fire the people that are not doing their jobs.
You're
right?
gonna do your job.
Right.
Yeah, let me tell you
And
something.
add new people because it's going to take time.
I'm very sensitive about street and sand. Why?
Okay.
Because I worked on the back of a garbage truck.
Okay.
I drove garbage.
Okay.
I hauled brush.
Mhm.
I worked on the back of a brush truck. I
Mhm.
drove brush.
Mhm.
I had a litter crew. I am so sensitive about public works because of that. Because I worked at that time, it was the street and sanitation department, and a few years ago they changed it to the name.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I worked out there in that hot sun. I know what it takes to get this city cleaned up. I know that by now Birmingham should be on its 5th good cut of the season, 5th or 6th full cut. We will now in a few days be going into the dormant season. You can already tell some of the leaves have already begun to fall, and it's because the season is about to shift out. So the realization is, yes, if you work for the street department, you're going to do your job, but also I'm going to also hire more women. I'm going to bring different leaders in. I have a plan. My plan is Operation 122, 99 neighborhoods, 23 communities in 122 days. Larry Langford had the 23 for 23. The first 23 days, he had gone through every one of the 23 communities, and he did that. Mine is 122. That is enough time that I'm going to engage whatever means necessary to get these streets clean, to pick up this paper, to begin a process of filling these potholes, paving these streets. That it is unacceptable. People are driving cars in which they are going into potholes, tearing up their cars. Everybody cannot afford an extra $500 to $1,000 bill to repair a tire.
Right.
Why is that costing so much? Because they're going so deep in, they're destroying the rims. They're popping the rims. It happened to me 2 years ago.
Okay.
The city, at first I usually go in, tear my little stuff. I just go and buy a tire. But I was tired and sick and tired. I was fed up. My tire cost almost $3,000. Make that make sense.
You just hurt my heart. I mean, you got a car that I can't afford.
I don't know what you don't know what. Listen,
$3,000 for a rim.
Let me tell you something.
Representative Gavane, come on now.
Let me tell you why it's
make it make sense.
Make that make sense.
Make it make sense.
Let me make it make sense. Let me clear this up for the listening audience. I do have a Mercedes-Benz.
Okay.
Are you a man? What are they? Ceramic rims or some kind of rims or something?
Aluminum.
Whatever they were. All I know is when I took the car and I'm just thinking I'm putting air. The tire kept going out. They were like, "Oh, you got to replace the rim." I said, "Replace the rim." And then when they gave me the cost, so I tried to say, well, I'm not gonna pay this. I said, "Should got to be a way they could fix the crack in the rim." I didn't even know you could crack a rim. I end up going over here to somewhere where the what is it, Oak Mountain or wherever it is. So they said, well, we can repair it and we can do that for $200, $300, $400, $500. Oh, I'm good then.
Yeah,
doesn't work, and
not for a long period of time.
Not even a whole 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
So I ended up having to go over to Mercedes-Benz of Alabama to get the rim. By the time you buy the rim, you already at $2,000. Then you have to buy something else, and then the service cost. By the time you finish with that and add it up.
Oh, you know what Mercedes-Benz said to you? We coming.
No, because the place when I took the tire over there, when they gave me the price, they were like, when they first just tried to do a repair, they were like, you're gonna be out of anywhere between $2,500 to $3,000. It's just the rim itself is so expensive.
So we've covered crime, we've covered the cleanliness of the city. What is your other initiative that you have?
Oh, I have Operation Friends in Transition. We must address the homeless crises.
Okay. We
must address the homeless crises, and that will entail surely working with local homeless agencies here in the city of Birmingham. We are going to have to create shelter space. That's the only way you can address it. If you do not create shelter space and enforce the laws, the legislature amended the laws last year, I think it was, where we amended the laws to include squatting and standing in public places for the purpose of loitering and things of that nature. We made that a Class C misdemeanor. We did that so police and law enforcement can no longer say there's no law in the book that gives them the right and authority to remove someone from a public space.
Okay.
So that flew out the window. The problem is, where are they going to go?
Mm.
Also, we're going to address this issue because as I go about talking to people, the place where where McDaniel's law sits, there's a homeless shelter a street over that is almost diagonally across the street from a very well-known church here. At the end of the day, I started talking to a lot of the homeless. So I asked them the question. I said, why is there such an influx? Why are there so many people coming? The people that you're seeing on the street, maybe one or two of them are from Birmingham. Most of the people you're seeing on the streets, they migrate.
Why?
I'm glad you asked. I asked the question. I told you I do my homework. I'm never going to come to y'all and tell y'all something that I have not. Okay. I went out in the streets myself.
That's why we sitting here.
Make it make sense. And I'm going to make it make sense. So
okay, let's go. Because you know I'm finna ask you. You make it make sense for me.
I went over. I said, because I didn't want anyone to say,
okay,
oh, you're trying to frame. So I go out and talk. And plus, there's a young man who his name is Dante. And I can say this, a very close family friend. He actually grew up with my brother. I ran into him actually 3 years ago. I didn't know. He actually saw me. I was at a traffic light and I heard someone saying, Lily. I said, you're saying Lily, you must know me. But when I looked around and I saw the young man, or the gentleman, I didn't know him because he was homeless. He was on a bike. He rolled over to me while the light was red. He said, hey, Lily, this is Dante. I said, Dante. Dante has been on drugs now. My brother's about 42, 41, 42. He's been on drugs since he was 16 years old. He has ended up experimenting, and it changed his life forever. But I didn't recognize it.
Well.
And as the story would have it, now, 2 or 3 years later, I saw a bike coming past our office. It was Dante. But also just in that moment, his aunt is a family friend, and one of our mutual family friends and I were on the phone, and she was saying, Pat is real worried. She said, because it's been a minute since she's talked to Dante. I said, you know what? I believe I saw Dante. So now I'm in a place now where I have to look out for the homeless. Why? Because Dante now comes past our office. He stops by, and then I also now relate back to the family. He's still alive.
Gotcha.
Because he and my brother were born the same time, so much so my brother finally saw him a few weeks ago. But in that, we have conversations. So not only do I have a conversation with Dante, I have a conversation with women, men of all trans, all of them.
Right.
So I asked the question, why are there so many homeless people? Dante was the very first person to say, not all of the people you see here are from Birmingham. So then I asked the other person, I said, why is there such a migration? And they said, because we have a sale, it's a network. I said, a network? Yes, it's a network. Just like you all communicate with different people, we communicate. And the word spreads. It blew me away. I said, the word spreads. They said, yes, nobody's going to bother us. And we go places where it's very unlikely that anyone will bother us. I didn't believe it. So I went a step or two up the street over the course of days, asking the same question. Well, I'm not from here. I came here from such and such. Well, why are you here? Well, Birmingham is a place where nobody's going to bother us. But one day I got to a young lady and she said these words to me. She said, Birmingham won't bother us. And guess what she said? And if you don't believe me, go to one of my lives. She said, Birmingham is like a country without a president. And the mayor of this city is not going to bother them. Make that make sense. So in other words, this is a place where you can come, do what you want to, And the people now ask the question, why are there so many squatters in our neighborhoods? If you notice in most major cities, you may see homelessness, you see tent cities, but you're not going to see where there's such an influx in the neighborhood. It is so pronounced here because there's a lack of policing, there's a lack of communication and involvement from City Hall. The likelihood of anybody bothering them is unlikely. So it is a free for all now for them to go and to squat. And that is why you see such a prevalent increase in the neighborhoods. And that's why there's a danger.
Okay, so if you're elected mayor today, how do you clean that up?
You coming out the houses. I can tell you right now, day one.
And where are they going?
I'm going to have somewhere for them to go, but they're going to come out of the neighborhoods because eventually if someone doesn't get them out of the neighborhoods, you're going to start seeing more fires. You're going to start seeing more deaths. I sat down with one of the local pastors here now who received a grant for Narcan. Why is that important? He's now going about because the drug situation with those who are homeless is so high. It is so grave right now that we must be prepared because you're going to start seeing more overdoses because they party under the viaducts. They live under the viaducts. They've created their own system of drug trafficking as well as the purchase thereof. So this local pastor, I sat down with him. I went to an event and I'm going to be going out with him on the first, I think it's the first Sunday, to start distributing the Narcan because we have to now, and those around them have to be prepared because we're going to eventually start seeing bodies just dropping because of the overdoses. It's just too prominent in the neighborhoods. So I have been studying. You're not going to find anybody else that's going to come sit in this seat that's running for mayor. I go out and I study because I'm trying to come up with the plan. I'm trying to make sure that we have a plan because I have old ladies and seasoned sisters out there now that are saying, for the first time in years, I've had to go and buy an additional padlock.
That part I understand. I'm hearing everything you're saying, Representative Van. But again, now let's talk where you say, okay, they're coming at the houses.
Oh, they're coming out these houses.
You're the mayor. I got to ask you this question. TC, a tough question. Where are they going?
They're coming out of the houses. They're going to either be locked up or they're going to be housed somewhere else. But once this is also what they said. If nobody bothers us, we will stay. But if the heat is on us, guess what they said? We're going to leave.
So you're banking on that more going to leave than stay?
Absolutely.
Now,
that's
why
they come here.
Okay, but if they don't?
They're leaving. I'm not going to allow this crisis to continue. I cannot. Why? Because you having people, this was the other thing. You're having people who are now getting out of prison, who are taking to the streets, who are also some that are sex offenders, who hopped a train here or hopped a ride on the 18-wheeler here, who are living in between these houses where our children are living, who are pimping the prostitutes out in the houses, now creating more trap houses. We're going to have to address it. And if I start going in, if I have a system where I'm boarding those houses up and I'm increasing patrol and I'm saying to them, you cannot live here. And I'm creating the relationship with those the citizens in those neighborhoods, the neighborhood presidents. Let me tell you something. I am studying this thing. And if you have action, it will create inaction. But you have to marry the process. But right now we have a system that no one is doing anything. No one is going to say that you have to leave those houses. And the ones that are, Bellevue, for example, I literally went in a few weeks ago and sat down with a couple who was glad to see me. Why? Because they had called law enforcement so many times. They finally got this woman out. There was a house in which the house fell into an estate. Someone had died.
So it became a squatter?
A white woman, a squatter took over. Because I don't want people to just think that it's the black folks.
But there's laws in place for the squatters, right?
Listen, did you hear what I said? Nobody's enforcing the laws. Make that make sense. Listen, so they're going in.
But you have to go through the.
We
So what's the
amended the
squatter law in
code.
Birmingham? What
We
is it?
amended the code to make it a Class C misdemeanor. That's what I was telling you.
Okay.
We purposely
Okay.
amended the
So
code
Class
because
C misdemeanor means what? If someone is
that
squatting house,
law
what can you do?
enforcement could act, because law enforcement was saying they could not act. No,
Right.
that's a lie. You can act because it's an offense. It's no different from any
So
other.
you can. So right now, if someone is squatting, you can go in and remove them out
You can go
immediately.
in and remove them immediately off that property. Yes, we amended.
So you can arrest them.
You can arrest them. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you this question:
Mhm.
for everything that you're trying to do, okay, and I want to go back on the police just for a second here. How many policemen do you think it's going to take to implement everything
Not
from?
many, because many of the people are going to begin to flee. It's a
No, I'm saying for across the board for the police system. What you're going to
Birmingham,
need? What
for
you're
a
going to need?
city of this size,
Mhm.
easily. Right now we have about 190 something thousand people.
Mhm.
Birmingham should have at least the bare minimum of no more or no less than 900 and something solid police officers to bring this city back to a safer, much safer state, a continued safer state.
Do you think we got that many people that want to be police officer here?
I have officers who have left in the last 1 to 5 years that have said to me, if I win, they're going to come back and work for me.
And let me
I
ask you,
think that we
because
can get them.
I know police officers, you probably don't know a lot more than I do. But a lot of times what I'm hearing, now you can tell me if I'm wrong or right, that the younger people that are trying to get in the academy, they can't make it through because of drugs, not able to pass the test and things like that, right? So that's why, the academy numbers are up, but then it's down. How realistic is it for what you're saying to actually really happen with the police officers coming back and then getting a new breed?
Perception of the police department at Birmingham is going to have to change, because just as those officers share that information, or retired officers, or those that have gone on to other positions and different jurisdictions, they also understand the dynamics of what's going on. It's like anything else. It's just like if you're an educator. Educators know everything about what goes on in the system because they are talker bees.
Right.
I am a lawyer. I am an education lawyer. So I understand the dynamics of how they operate, no differently from the police officers.
Right.
So in other words, the word spreads. Make it make sense. The word spreads.
So I guess what, everything we've been talking about is just what I'm hearing from you. It has to be a cultural change.
There has to be.
If what you're trying to implement, what you need,
you have
right,
to create.
Day one, it's not going to be there. So you come in and
you're gonna take the steps, though. The problem here is that nobody takes the steps until it gets so bad that it's uncontrollable and it cannot be contained. You must contain the situation. Birmingham's problem is, over the course of years, nobody is trying to contain the fact initially that we are losing 500, 600 officers. But they are trying to keep it contained by not telling the truth about the numbers, but you're not containing the situation in a way that you're working to implement to get the problem eradicated. Issues are going to come up. People are going to leave. So what is the plan to keep or retain or to get them back, or somebody back? Listen, let me tell you what I'm really afraid of. Birmingham, some of the young officers that have come in the last year, they're so young. I've seen a couple of them.
Speak to it now, because that's where I'm going with this, right? Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
The argument of those that say, well, we have people that go in the military at 18 years of age or 19. Going in the military and learning a level of discipline is certainly different than the level of discipline that you are going to have and that is given or that is trained, and you're 18 and 19 and you're here on the streets and you're still able to do all of the things that you want to do. In the military, you can't do those things.
I'm former military.
It's a total different level of discipline. And I had to share this with someone, and I got a call back. They said, Gavan, you are absolutely right. I said, I know like heck I'm right. I said, and this is a danger to those young boys. So much so I told a group a few weeks ago, This is when some of the officers have been known in the last year or so to sit on calls. Well, what is sitting on calls? That means if the call comes on in at 3:05, I may not start rolling until 3:10 or 3 whatever. Why?
Mhm.
Because those young men know that whatever they're going into, they're in an area where there's only 4 officers on the shift.
I got you on that.
I'm 22 and I just got married, or I'm 26 and I just got married, and my wife just had a baby. Guess what? And I told some of the citizens, these guys, I
think
don't
now.
like.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about when you were saying this can happen. I'm like, I hear you, but
Listen, but that is why. I mean, I say to the folks, say
Mhm.
to the citizens, these young men signed up for a force, and right now there's no force. I don't blame some of them, because at the end of the day, yes, you are to protect and serve, but then you
you want
also
to go home.
you want to go home. And when you signed up for this police force, you're thinking you're signing up where there is going to be an officer that can come back you up. Listen, the realization, you have officers dealing with domestic situations where they have to fight whole families by themselves to stop fights and
I
altercations.
understand.
That is one of the most dangerous things. You have officers that are working shifts
Mhm.
that go beyond just the regular standard hours.
Mhm.
They are overworked and they are tired.
Okay.
And that's a danger in itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on that, and we're going to work on getting some of these other officers. And even if we're doing this where we're creating substations in
Mhm.
some of the worst areas, that's another thing. You can create the presence of the officers if you create a system where you create these substations. Bring some of these officers who are more seasoned, who have retired within the last 1 to 5 years, that are willing to come back here, that are willing to serve in those areas or within those capacities.
Mhm.
And you can rebuild or build those substations with them there. They could also serve as those patrol officers
I got
and
you.
to be a part of that community that you and I have talked about.
Mhm.
Listen, they may not be all out there with all of the agilities and all of those things, but guess what? It's presence. And
As
that's
a,
what we need.
and as I sit here and talk to you, right? I do believe it's going to be a lot of work, and I do see that you're going to have to implement a culture with your plan,
You have to.
right? I
But it's
know.
nothing that can't be done.
I agree with you. You have that. I am a hard worker. That's why I'm here, and that's why you're sitting in front
I'm
of
a
me
worker,
today.
and not only
Right.
will I'm not going to tell my public works department to not go to say, I want this cut,
Mhm.
and I'm not willing to stop and pick up a piece of paper. I'm that kind of person.
I want to ask you this because I have a feeling that I already know the answer, but I want to ask you this because a lot of people run for mayor, right? City council and things of that nature. Number one, thank you for your service for
Thank
15
you.
years.
It's hell, but I'm here.
I want to ask you this. Do you love the city of Birmingham and do you love us?
I love people. I love the city of Birmingham. Listen, I started this conversation with the fact that I work for Richard Arrington,
Mhm.
the first Black mayor of the city of Birmingham.
Mhm.
And in doing so, I learned so much from him. And to date, I can honestly say he set the framework.
Mhm.
He was the first, but he knew and had prayed that he would not be the last. Maynard Jackson out of Georgia, same way. That is why you saw a Shirley Franklin.
Mhm.
That is why you saw a Keisha Lance Bottoms and others.
Mhm.
But in Birmingham, I think for me, I really feel that this city is worth saving.
Okay.
We're on life support, but we haven't flatlined.
Mhm.
No one has coded us.
Mhm.
No one has called it on the clock, a time of death. So for me, as long as there's some viability, we must fight. And we must fight for the citizens. We must fight for Sister Lewis that's on 5th Street.
Mhm.
We must fight for Brother Jones, who is over here in the Roebuck area. We must fight for Mary over in North Birmingham.
Mhm.
We must fight to redevelop the Inslee community.
Mhm.
I call it my plan of CPR, C for crime, to conquer, control, and combat it. P, people protection and progress. R, to reinvest, revitalize, and restore our neighborhoods.
Okay.
Again, we have flatlined. We have not flatlined.
Mhm.
We're still here, and the people who are here are expecting us to give them more life. an extension.
Is there anything on this platform that has been misconstrued about your name, or anything that you want to clear up?
Oh God, we got.
Well, we don't go through everything, but some of the top things that you hear out there that you want to clear up.
The thing that is most baffling to me, of course, the question of my qualifications. My looks is always an issue. It's always an issue about my looks.
Okay.
The clothes that I wear is always an issue. I'm like, y'all have all this killing going on, all of these regular streets, all of these potholes. Me, period. I am a very straight up person. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. For me, as I say about my dress, listen, you all have hired or given a lease for every 4 years to a man. From a white man, an old man, a bald man, a young man, a tall man, a short man. Every kind of man but a woman. Every kind of man who wore a suit. But that didn't stop killing. That has not stopped the homeless crises. That has not stopped potholes. That has not stopped litter, brush, debris. That has not stopped the lack of services within the 99 communities where we cater to 3. We cater to uptown, downtown, and the south side. But what about Pratt? What about Raleigh? What about Brummett Heights? What about West End? What about Inslee? What about Gracilla? What about Roebuck? What about parts of Avondale? What about North Birmingham? What about the airport community?
Okay.
Make it make sense. So with that being said, for me, for all of those questions that come at me, I'm saying to myself, and I say this every day, my God, these people act as if I'm the only person in this race because I keep a fire dart on me.
So,
right
Citizen
here
Representative, let's not do that here. Let's not do that here. You know why they're making, why you've made a splash.
I do not.
Let me tell you, okay?
You
went
tell me.
because the flare that you came out with. I think it came to be because it came to my attention. I already knew who you were, but I think it came to my attention more so when people were sending me that. I think you just think make it make sense or we coming, right? And I think someone put a meme out of you.
And I could not understand for real. And I want to say how that came about.
Okay.
When I first announced that I was running, there was a gentleman at a church, and he came up to me. He said, "Ms. Gaban, I want you to know that I am going to support you for mayor." I said, "Okay, thank you, Mr. Arnold." He said, "We are coming. We coming."
Right.
He wanted me to use that as my theme. I said, "Well, Mr. Arnold, I already have a theme. It's Birmingham is time, da 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 da." It wasn't even make it make sense. It was just Birmingham is time.
Right.
And then I said to him, "But if it's ever a time that I could fit it in, I would."
So it just kind of happened.
Hold on. It was it wasn't even meant to happen. I wasn't even thinking about it because there had been 3 months then.
Okay.
My team, who my nephew, who was here with me, can vouch for this. We had come in, they had been out working. We had started them up in the 2nd week of canvassing. So they came in and I was like, "Well, let's get some B-roll, let's whatever. Let's kiki, whatever." I had literally just taken off my sneakers. And I had some slides, Nike slides in the car. And we were getting signs in, getting the office restacked. I said, "Hey, let's do some B-roll. I could use it at a different time, whatever, and have it archived." So we had probably done about 2 or 3 takes, just goofing off.
Right.
I forgot all about it. I hadn't even thought about it. So a few weeks had passed, and my brother, he said, "Lee, what you posted everything else. You didn't post the video with us." I said, "Well, y'all act like y'all were just so tired." And I said, "I hadn't even thought about it." Still didn't think about it anymore. After that, I went on a couple of days. My brother said something again. I said, "Lord, let me go and post this video." I said, because they have been so whatever. Still didn't think anything of it. I posted it. I started getting calls. Hold on, wait a minute now. I started getting calls. This is the true story.
Right.
I can't make this up.
Right.
But even with me getting the calls, I wasn't in tune to hearing what they were saying. They kept saying, "Wonderland, you all over Facebook." I still didn't think about it. I didn't ask a question because I'm like, okay.
Right.
it was, I think, Rick Jackson.
Okay.
My campaign manager, he leads the team. Finally, after about 2 or 3 people prior to him, he said, girl, he said, Wanda, we got to do crisis management. I said, crisis man, this is true. I said, crisis management. I said, what? Listen, I done went on about my day. I have not thought about the daggone me. This is how crazy it was. They just trying to drag. I said, dragging me for what? I said, I haven't said anything. So, Joe, I said, okay. I said, what are you talking about? He said, the meme. I said, the meme. I said,
they made you the whole meme.
Hold on, wait a minute. He said, the meme. I said, you talking about the meme, right? He said, no, not the one that the mayor did in September. I said, what? So that's when he showed me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh my God, what the hell is going on? That's what
Representative Van, can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
He said it to me. I was laughing my behind
Hold on, wait a minute. I did too. I laughed at myself. Listen, I have a great sense of humor.
When I saw it,
I said, who in the hell would take time? I wasn't, and so I said, well, what in that world did I say? And they were like, it's the We Are Coming. I said, then when they said I look like Miss Woodbine on P. Valley, that's what I said. I said, well, hell, Miss Woodbine won that damn mayor's race. Make it make sense.
Right.
And at the end of the day, y'all better go back to that scene when she went in there to assume the office, however, but she did fall back in the chair when she put up on the thing.
Right.
And so it just went from there. And the next thing you knew, everybody was, look, they were using the meme.
Mm-hmm.
It was We Are Coming.
Mm-hmm.
People have used it for invitations, advertisement, T-shirts, cups, fans. And so from there, and so I remember going on my live, going back probably a couple of days after that. And I said, well, what the people did for my bad, they turned it around for my good. Because definitely people who didn't know my name,
they know it now.
So somebody messaged me. They said, Gavan, this is marketing genius at its best. And I said, what? They said, absolutely. Do you realize you have gotten so many views and so much attention? I can tell you right now, this would have been $75,000 to $80,000, if not $100,000 worth of marketing you would have had to spend money for. And it has taken off and it has not stopped.
So I want to clear this up myself, and before you clear it up for Birmingham. When you say we are coming, what do you mean?
We are coming for me just simply means we are coming. We are working. We are intense. We are intentional. We are going to do what we say. That's just me saying we are coming. And I don't know why anyone else. So I called some of my friends. I said, well, why would somebody think ill of the words we are
We didn't,
coming?
Representative Glenn, we didn't. When we saw the meme, we said we are coming, right? And the people who didn't know you, they're like, what's he coming to do? Right?
We are coming to work.
Okay, but that's what was clarified. So people was making fun.
We are here. In other words, we are here.
Right.
We are here, and we are intentionally here. And we are not just here. We are here to be productive. We are here to win. It was nothing negative. We are here. We are in the space that we're in. And this is why we are here. This is what we are doing. Our team, we did that as a group, and I just did. And as a matter of fact, I just threw it in. I just came out. And so when Mr. Arnold, and this is what's the most beautiful thing. Oh my God, when he heard me say, we are coming. Do you know what that did for him? Because he literally came up to me and he said, I want, if you could, but I had already picked Birmingham this time. And so everywhere I go now, Joe, and all the alumni picnics, people that I wouldn't even think, I cannot get out of a car if they see me 10 miles away.
We coming.
We coming. Make it make sense to everybody. And the men have such a good time with it. So I now record. Sometimes they'll record them and send them to me. Sometimes I will do it with them. It's all, listen, and I have to stop by.
So you're having fun.
Tent. I'm having fun. It's fun. I mean, like I said, they
last
have
one I want to clear up.
I
want you to clear up for me is make it make sense. What does that really mean? Because I know you said make it make sense, make it make sense, make it make sense. Tell Birmingham what does make it make sense for you when you're saying that.
Make it make sense, and it just depends on In which context?
Okay.
That I'm trying to curate an issue to bring it to the forefront or to bring a solution. Make it make sense that we have 99 neighborhoods, but yet 3 get the services. Make that make sense. Make it make sense that y'all done shaded me on my lipstick today when I thought my lipstick was looking real good today, but make it make sense.
Right.
Make it make sense that this pothole is so deep that I could sit down in it. Whereas if I go to Forest Park, there are no potholes and they receive all the services. Make that make sense. Well, make it make sense now that I didn't get a chance to marry Denzel Washington, but Paulette did. But yet I'm still in love with him. Now make that make sense. Does that make any sense? So it's however you want to choose to use it. But it's a catchphrase that so many people now, everywhere you go, somebody is saying, make it make sense.
Right.
And it's just a catchphrase, and it could be used in different connotations or,
And I just think, when someone is running for mayor, for some people, right, it works great for marketing. But I think, I'm glad you was here today to clarify what you mean.
Larry Langford rolled out, let's do something. And Larry thing was simple. If you always do what you always done, you're gonna always get what you always got. Let's do something.
Right.
If you won't change, and mine is simple. If you like what you have, you keep it. If your paper is being picked up, you keep it. If the streets are being swept, you keep it. If the lots are cut, if there are jobs, if there are places, and that was one of the things I didn't talk about for our youth, is at a point now where you keep it. Because I have a plan, your child, our child. For our kids, that's a part of the Operation Team Gavan Project 2025. That's the name of my plan. And we have to be intentional about our kids. We're building one fun center, but my question to you is, there are 99 neighborhoods. Who wants to come from the east side of town to the west side to go to a family fun center when you're going to cross 20-some, 30 neighborhoods or communities? Neighborhoods, there are only 23 communities, but you're going to cross that many neighborhoods and communities to go to Ensley, to the Crossplex. Make that make sense.
Okay.
We should have functioning community centers, things for our children to do. We need more performing arts for our children. We need more STEM programs and projects that will help to stimulate the minds and the thinking patterns and processes of our children. Not only do we need that, we need more regarding vocational. A plumber came to my house a few weeks ago, $400 an hour. Do you know what I said to him?
Make it make sense.
Hold up. I said, look at here. I said, now, whatever you need to do to fix that problem, you need to get fixed because you can't come back. Because that would have been another hour. That was $800 an hour. That's too much. Make that make sense. And so from there, all of those things we need in place. Plumbing, HVAC, cosmetology. Some of the programs are growing and growing back in the schools. Thank God for it. For that, not everybody is going to be a soccer player, a football, baseball, basketball, or even soccer player.
Right.
So let's give our children something to do. Fashion design. I love fashion. And I believe in the arts. I'm big on the arts. I'll go and watch a Broadway show in a minute. I love it. Why? Because it gives me an opportunity to see something different in a different lens and something I like to do. Again, a cultural mind change.
Okay. I'm not going to take up much more of your time. I really want to thank you for having this sit down with me today, unfiltered, and exclusive here. And you straightened up a lot of things. You answered everything, straightforward as you do, raw, unapologetic about it. But what I like to do with politicians here, Representative Gavan, is thank you for coming. But then I want to go ahead and give you the stage, and then you can talk to the people of Birmingham and tell them why should they vote for you.
Because everybody loves a winner, and I am a winner. But not just because I am a winner. I am, as I've said here, sitting here, very intentional. Birmingham is on the cusp of a mandated change. There's no way around it. I just said it. At the end of the day, if you like what you have, you keep it. because you're going to have 4 years that you're going to have to live with the fact that most of the cities, neighborhoods in Birmingham are decaying. You're going to have to live with the fact that they not like us. You're going to have to live with the fact that crime is going to go back up. You're going to have to live with the fact that over 8 years, nearly 1,000 people died to gun violence here in the city of Birmingham. You're going to have to live with the fact that 311 will not necessarily return your call within a timely manner. You're going to have to live with the fact that our community centers are not up to par, our parks and rec. So my whole thing to the citizens of Birmingham is, you've tried everything else. You've tried a white man as mayor, a black man as mayor, an old man as mayor, a young man as mayor, a tall man as mayor, a gray-headed man, a bald man. So you've had everything in a man, and all of those things about that man, but you have never given an opportunity to something or somebody different that is a woman. Why? Women think differently. We lead differently. We process differently. Why? Because we are momagers and chiefs. We are the counselors. In some regards, we're the doctors, the nurses at home. We're the psychiatrists at home. We're the engineers. We're the this. We have to fix this. We have to do that. We're the cooks. We're the chefs. We are the cleaning folks. We are the ones who manage the households. We are the glue that holds it together. And because of that, women think differently. And that is why I'm going to hire more women in my administration. I'm also going to hire a junior mayor. I'm not hire, but I'm going to sit down and I'm going to create a junior mayor's position where I'm going to sit down with the junior mayor and he will have his or her council. And we're going to have a monthly meeting. And I'm going to hear from young people. And I'm going to start recreate the shadowing program that Mayor Arrington used to have and Mayor Bell when he was the interim mayor, where we're going to allow students throughout the Birmingham City school system to be to shadow employees who may have an interest in doing certain things. So we're going to look at recreating some programs, and we're going to create some new programs. But we certainly will have a mayor that's going to come and see about you. Because I believe if there's a press conference held on the South Side or downtown, when Ray, Pookie, or May, or Nene gets shot and killed, or there's a mass killing on our side of town, that there needs to be a press conference held within those neighborhoods. I believe that you should reach out to the mothers that when they've lost their children and simply say, I mourn with you. I believe that you all should be looking for a mayor that's going to work on rebuilding, restructuring, recultivating this city for the better. And I also believe that you're going to need a mayor that's going to be able to go to Washington, because whether you like the current president, of this country, I don't look at the person. I look at the position. You have to honor the position. Birmingham is now the number 4 city in the state. That means behind Huntsville, who is number 1, Mobile, number 2, Montgomery, then Birmingham. We've lost over 40,000 people. We've got to build new houses. We must build new housing developments. Why? And it needs to be single family housing. We have to create a different mindset to get people interested in moving back into the city of Birmingham in clusters, not just spot building. Okay. I have some experience in urban planning. So at the end of the day, we're going to have to build 250 to 500 total houses in certain areas. So what does that mean? That means if you build those houses, you bring families. Most housing communities breed families versus transients coming in and out. Why? Because they become investors, and they become investors in the house as well as in the community. Okay. So we've got to rebuild the population. So if you like what you have, keep it.
Last but not least, go ahead and tell your people where they can find you, find out more information they want to find out about you.
You can go to my website, gavanformayor.com. Gavan Plan 2025 is there. You'll see my plan for the municipal court reform, rent reduction. It's simple. There needs to be a moratorium put on the cost of rent in Birmingham. It is now too extremely high in certain areas where you would normally have rent that may be $550, $600. People are paying $1,200 of rent for rent in Inslee. In some of the areas that are more blighted, that doesn't make sense, and it's impacting our seniors as well. Listen, go to GavanForMayor.com. Municipal court reform, environmental justice, jobs, healthcare. I have a plan of action for all of that. Listen, I have the experience. I have the administrative experience. I've worked in administration in the mayor's office. I have assisted with capital projects and development. So I have extensive experience in all of these things, as well as I am a seasoned 21-year member in good standing with the Alabama State Bar itself.
And you got your degree from Miles College.
And wait a minute, Miles College, yes, I am a Miles College Golden Bear.
Okay.
And I am a lover of the arts. And so that is another reason why I want to implement these programs. But certainly go there and always check me out on Facebook. I have been forced to do a Facebook Live. Listen, I now am mandated almost to come on at 8:30 every day. If I do not come on in the morning or if I'm not out doing the lives. And so that's what we do. And so we're going to run this race to the end. I'm excited about the opportunities. And I believe if it is for me, if it be the Lord's will.
Representative Van, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, y'all heard it right here. Unapologetic, unfiltered, no spin.
No spin.
One-on-one with your boy, Joe Lockett.
Make it make sense, Joe.
Have a good one. See you guys next time.